Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another creative sim for the Disney save. Today we are going to be making the beginning of the Lilo and Stitch household for the residential home that I just previously made for this lovely little family. If you missed that, of course, check it out first so you can see the house that this family will be living in. For today's video, we are only going to be making Lilo and Stitch. I have decided to cut this into two parts because I'm making Stitch in two different forms. I explain this in more depth in the residential build of the home, but to give you a very brief explanation as to why I've decided to do this, basically for Stitch, because he is an alien and because I think so many people felt like he has too much personality to condense into a pet, a lot of my patrons in particular were really requesting that we make him an alien sim for the save and as a companion for Lilo rather than doing him as a pet. And to be honest with you, if I was going to play, I personally would rather have him be a pet, and I think I can make him obviously look a lot closer to how he looks in the film as a pet. So I just decided for both people like me and people like the rest of my patrons, I would just do both. So today's video will of course start with Lilo here, and then I'll be making Stitch in two forms, a sim alien form and then a pet version at the end. The save by default will come with the pet version, and if you would like the other version, the alien sim form, it will be on the gallery for download as a replacement or bonus sim that you can swap in and out of the household. To start us off with Lilo here, her aspiration is social butterfly. Her current trait right now is creative, but I don't have, I believe it's the new growing together pack. It might be the university. There's a couple of new ones that I have not purchased, and one of the traits in there is supposed to be socially awkward. So that might be the trait that we end up switching her to once I do have that pack. Obviously do not at this time, so I am just putting her in as creative, which I think is another trait that she also does have. But when it comes to children, being that you can only pick one trait, I try to pick something that really embodies the story and most of the character, or something that's very, very significant. So socially awkward might be something that plays a little bit better into her characteristics and her portrayal in the film, whereas creative she definitely is, but it's more so something that you get as a part of her personality when you know her a little bit deeper. Lilo is a young girl living with her older sister Nani, who is a surrogate parental figure in wake of the unexpected passing of their parents. She is very creative and curious, always trying to make new friends, even when those friends are not always very kind to her. Despite her desire to be around people, she often finds herself the outcast and unable to relate to others her age on similar topics. She loves old music and records, especially Elvis Presley, horror films, creepy stories, making messes, and adventuring. The other girls in town see her as strange for her interests due to her lack of being able to make friends. Nani took Lilo to adopt a pet from the local pound, and she adopted her best friend Stitch. Stitch is also a little strange, which means him and Lilo get along like two peas in a pod. Something that was recommended as an idea because we do not have any other form of dancing specifically laid out in the game. If I'm incorrect about that, please let me know. But there is one after school activity, ballet, that children's sims can take part in. So to give her some kind of dancing activity to take part in, I believe that we'll probably be enrolling her in something like that for the save file. She'll also be into photography, painting, watching movies, and listening to music, and exploring the island with Stitch. Overall, Lilo I don't think is a super easy character to translate over. She has a very specific look and a super iconic dress. We are so limited with the cast catalog for children's sims and younger. It's just that we don't regularly get new items, and a lot of the packs that we receive do not often come with new hairs or updated hairs and clothing. They just don't get the treatment that the older sims do. Teens and up can use pretty much everything in the catalog, so we're very limited as far as choices here. And in the video I've even been using a hair that I end up switching at the last moment because I'm not very happy with it. You'll see that on the thumbnail, but you will also see it in the end clips when we take a look at the final version of the character. And then we just didn't have, you know, a ton of dresses for her as far as her red leaf dress that she is known for wearing as her everyday wear. But I found one that I felt like was similar enough. It also comes in a green and yellow swatch, and I gave gave her lots and lots of outfits based after the film. If anything this film does, it shows the characters in a large variety of outfits, and I tried to steal as many of them as possible. You will definitely see that coming up for the next Create a Sim video, which will be the rest of this household, including Nani, Pleakley, and Jumba, and they all get a fair few amount of outfits, so I definitely went to town trying to find as many references as possible to copy over a ton of those. Moving on to our first version of Stitch here, he is going to be an alien sim. We couldn't do him any other way with the blue skin and all, kind of doing a play on his overall look, trying to translate him into a human and an alien at that. Not an easy feat, but I hope that you guys like my interpretation of him. His aspiration would be rambunctious scamp, and he is adventurous. Stitch is an escaped alien experiment designed by scientist Jumba Jakuba to be a destructive monster. His function is to cause mayhem and commit evil acts to everything he sees and everywhere he goes. When he crash landed in Hawaii, he initially used Lilo and her family as a safety net to not be captured by Jumba for fear of being brought back into space and destroyed by his creator. After spending time with Lilo, he learned the love of family and friendship, becoming less destructive and ultimately saving Lilo's life in a horrible spaceship crash. He now remains with her and Nani as a loyal but sometimes temperamental companion. Stitch is not always familiar with the ways of humans and will do things that are seen as odd or annoying, such as taking clothing items, eating his food and others right off of their plate, ripping or breaking things when it frustrates him, and more. But overall, he has a sweet and gentle nature that he keeps hidden and really just wants to feel like he belongs and is loved by someone. We will also be enrolling him in the after-school activity of ballet, and his hobbies include things such as spending time with Lilo, creating miniatures, working on space equipment, flying spaceships, eating, going to the beach, but not necessarily in the water because he cannot swim. It has been a very, very long time since I have done an alien sim. I believe the last one was Eve, all the way back from Evergreen Harbor, so it may have possibly been years since I've tried to do an alien, and I did not remember how restricting they are. They completely take away your ability to use any of the normal eyes and normal skin tones that human or regular sims can use, which I just find to be such a weird thing. Like, just let's do the variety all the way around. Obviously, we're going to want to make alien sims where sometimes they have less interesting eye or hair or face colors or skin colors. So in my opinion, when it comes to occults, you really should have access to those bonus items, those specialty like scars, ears, weird sort of things that come with being an occult, but you should still have access to the regular things in the catalog. It created a really big issue when I went to go make Jumba later on, realizing I was going to have to pick an unnatural skin color to create his character, but I will talk more about that when I do his video. Should be coming out later this week for you guys. I think that combined with the fact that I'm trying to translate this like very dog or described in the film as koala looking creature into a human sim slash alien, it was definitely very challenging. I wanted to play with color, use lots of blues. Doing the big black eyes is obviously not something that hinders the character in this scenario, so being able to do that for the alien form obviously makes a lot of sense. I've added some little details here and there to the outfit, such as trying to do like mismatched socks, some blue overalls to play on the idea of like the blue stomach that Stitch has in comparison to his darker blue fur, darker nails, sharper teeth, little things like that. My fiance had recommended after I was done with the video that we try to find a full body red suit for him to wear in his alien form as the default everyday wear, because in the film he is originally wearing some kind of red spacesuit when he is crash landing on Earth. So that was a great idea. I ended up finding a space slash snowsuit from Snowy Escape, which I think works really well. So that will be his everyday look versus the alien suit that we have chosen in the video today. Something that you'll see me doing a lot of in this video, and I kind of wanted to explain, is aging both of the characters up and then back down. The reason for this is because, again, when it comes to children's sims, the game really restricts how you you can make them look. I find that children's Sims overall just generally tend to look like one another. If you really over exaggerate certain features, it doesn't really show in the child, but when they age up, it will definitely show very dramatically. So where I want to give these characters as children these really big eyes, like I think Lilo and Stitch both have like really big, beautiful eyes, I tried to do it for the children, and then when you age them up, you realize it's way too overdone. So I tried to work my way backward for both characters, aging them up and making sure that I'm not doing too much, and it looks like something that they would naturally sort of age into, and then aging them back down and kind of keeping what was there as long as I was happy with how it looked when they were older. That way they don't grow up to have super exaggerated features, but they still have some sort of likeness as children to the characters I'm trying to replicate. I think this idea worked really well in this instance. I might try and go back and do this with some of my other children characters to make sure that they are not as crazy as some of these guys were turning out as I was aging them up and down, and it's definitely a method I'm going to be using in the future. I think it's just very successful overall. And then lastly, we have my animal version of Stitch. He is a medium-sized dog, and I believe he is a French bulldog mix. I read somewhere that some of the artists were inspired by that breed, particularly when creating his character. So I went from there, and he's mixed with something else. It might be a Shiba. I don't recall off the top of my head. I just wanted another medium-sized dog that was maybe a little bit bulkier and stockier than a French bulldog, so he had more weight and more thickness to him. I think Stitch is supposed to be very strong and muscular, and I thought that that would help the appearance overall. I don't think he came out too bad. A lot of the time I'm not super happy with how the pets turn out, but I think he's kind of cute and unique, and you can definitely tell who it's supposed to be right away. That's all that really matters to me. It's definitely the version I'm going to be using when I play, but let me know down below in the comments which one you would pick and which is your favorite. And that is going to be the end of today's video. Stay tuned for the next Create a Sim, which will be the rest of this household. If you would like to support the Disney Save on Patreon, you can do so by clicking the link in my description box down below or the one at the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching today, and I will talk to you all in the next one.